Expert Factory is now open for business. Sound the whistle.
Hey there, Rebels, and welcome back to the Expert Factory. We took a little breather for a week, but that's okay. We're back again. We know this is just a little mini-series. If you were to email me a question, and I'm thinking a very specific question, and you can email me a specific question at jimthepodcastsherpa@gmail.com or through my website, Sherpalution.com, and you were to say, Sherpa, who is one of your favorite people in Podcastia? Well, one of the answers to that question would be the lady that you're going to hear today. And her name is Allison Sharpe, or as I call her, the always wonderful Allison Sharpe. You know, I was thinking while I was hearing her recording that I think she must have been a genie in a previous life, because anytime I need her help, it's like, ka-bing, she appears. It's the strangest thing, and she always delivers when she appears too, by the way, and she does not fail us now with some life advice, and it's really solid stuff too. So she said I could slice it and dice it any way I wanted to. I really didn't touch it at all because I thought what she said was really powerful stuff, and we'd like to share that with you. But first, keep in mind that today's podcast is being brought to you by Audible, and you can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Sherpa. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Aren't you glad that I told you all that? Let's have another quick word from our sponsor, and then we will hear from, as I call her, the always wonderful Allison Sharpe.
Hello lovers, welcome back to Travel Snacks. In today's episode, I get down to the nitty-gritty and tell you how to get out of your boring ass life and get out and live the life that you really want to be doing. Last year, I was on a podcast called Too Many Podcasts, and Jim, the podcast host who goes by the Podcast Sherpa, he has started a second podcast called The Expert Factory, and he asked me to be on that podcast. So basically he asked me to record a podcast that he could put on his channel. So I was thinking, like, what am I an expert in? I mean, I know a lot of things, but I don't know if I consider myself an expert. However, there is something that I feel that I have expert qualities in, and that is making the most out of life. So I thought, well, I'm going to be recording the podcast anyway, so I might as well make it into a video for the snack family. So today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to make the most out of your life. Tip number 1, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. If you needed a sign, that was it. Snap out of it. It's time to live. It's not okay to just go back and forth from work, go home, lounge on the couch watching Netflix, eating Cheetos and soda. I mean, sometimes eating Cheetos and soda is fun and great, but not every day. There's a big world out here, and there's so much to see and do. So many people are walking around like zombies, just like, just bumping into stuff, bumping into each other, just on their phones, just not paying attention. A lot of that is because everyone's being lulled by TV and media and social media, and those things have their place, but not every day. There's so much to experience. So if you are one of those people that has dreams and just hasn't done really anything but keeps saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, this is your time. This is your sign. You need to wake up. Life is not going to stop. Time is non-refundable. You cannot get this time back. One thing that always helps me is to look at the people that are no longer here. Their time stopped. Their time has ended. They don't get to do anything else. Today you have the opportunity to make different choices, to realize, whoa, I'm still here. There's still things that I want to do. And don't be fooled. You might think, oh, I have plenty of time. Well, guess what? Even if you live to be like 100 years old, okay, you could be like, oh, I can travel when I retire, or do all these things. Guess what? Your body is maybe not going to be in that position all the time to want to do those things or to be able to do all those things. I'm in my 40s and I travel and I live in my car and I do all these things. I have this YouTube channel called Travel Snacks and it's great. I get to see so many things, but I am not a spring chicken over here. It's like my body gets stiff, my ankles get swollen, it's just like I'm climbing back seat, front seat, and my body is aging. And so it's not always going to be the greatest time to do the things you want to do. You may live for a long time, but physically you're going to have a limited amount of time to do all the things that you want to do. So now is that time. Number 2, honor yourself. Now, this is a very important one because I see a lot of people, I hear a lot of people making excuses. And not only just excuses, but just flat out lying. If you're the type of person that lies to get yourself out of a bind, stop doing that. That's not cute. You're a grown-up. If you're pushed into a corner, think about why. It's because you either want to get something out of that situation or you don't want to lose something. And the bottom line is, you don't owe anybody anything. Now, if you're married, you're a partnership, and you need to work things out together. And if you have kids, be responsible. You need to take care of your kids. But if you're single or if your kids are grown, you can do whatever you want. And if people ask you certain things and you're feeling like, oh man, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or if I tell them the truth and this person's going to leave or whatever, so be it. You have to be honest with other people so that you can be honest with yourself, so that you can honor yourself. Once you start honoring yourself, when you start making decisions to do the things that you want to do, you're going to be like, yeah, I want to do this, and then you do it. And then you are honoring yourself. The other part to honoring yourself is honoring your word to yourself. So if there's something that you want to do, you need to speak it out loud, write it down, talk as if you're going to do it. And don't just talk about it, actually believe it and do it. So for myself, I always said that once my kids got old enough to move out on their own, I was going to start traveling. And within a month of them moving out, I started traveling. Because all those years leading up, I was consistently saying, this is what's going to happen when this happens. So write that down. You put down what's going to happen when this happens. And then along the way, you're going to be preparing yourself for that event to happen and then execute and be like, this is my time. This is what I'm doing. And when you start doing those kinds of things, your brain starts to realize, oh, this is what we're doing. When he or she says this, we do this. So that's being honest with yourself and honoring yourself. Number 3, use the resources that you have. Okay, so once my boys moved out and I started to travel the world, I was going to Europe, I went to South America, and I was doing all these great things. Then I realized that I wanted to do my Travel Snacks YouTube channel full time, and there was some other stuff going on with my job that wasn't ideal. And so I was like, you know what, it's time for me after 10 and a half years to move on from this job. And I knew that I wanted to do something for myself that made me happy, which was traveling. But even though quitting the job gave me all the freedom in the world, it also cut off my income source. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I can't keep up this pace of traveling the world like this. But I want to share travel tips and I want to share my experiences. And my goal is to encourage everybody to get out and live life. So how am I going to do that now? Okay, so what resources do I have? Well, I have some savings and I have a car. So I was like, okay, what can I do with that? And there's other things that I have. We all have so much. We don't even realize it. But you have to take stock in what you have and be like, okay, what can I use? For me, I was like, okay, I may not be able to go overseas, but I can surely take my car, get a car mattress, and get some things together, jump in my car, live in my car, and do this travel journey and share it with the world so that other people can be inspired. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So today, I'm in a parking lot at Walmart in Atlanta, Georgia. Last year, I was in South America at this time. It's okay. Life is still going and I'm still having wonderful experiences wherever I go. So use the resources that you have. Make a list. Write down all the things that you have and be like, what can I do with this? And that resource list is only going to grow and change. You're not always going to have just those few things. You're going to continue to get new things. Things are going to come into your life. Things are going to leave your life, and that's okay. It's an ebb and flow. It's all good. Number 4, connect with other human beings. We were not created to live on an island by ourselves. Living on an island might seem great for a while, but it gets lonely. I can tell you firsthand, just being in this car all the time by myself, it can get pretty upsetting because you're just like, okay, well, now what? I'm just talking to a camera all the time. And so I had to make deliberate choices and pray about the fact that I need to connect with other people on this journey. There's a big movement right now of people talking about introversion, and I consider myself more of an introvert, but for a while I was buying into that and all the memes and all the quotes and all these things about being an introvert and it's okay and all these things. And then I had to stop saying that. The fact is, I do like being alone. I'm okay with myself. I like having quiet times. But that's not a good idea to isolate yourself, because that's when depression sets in, anxiety sets in, and you don't have anybody to bounce stuff off of. And you may be able to be by yourself for a long period of time, but at a certain point, you're going to want that human connection. And if you haven't maintained relationships, when you finally reach out to people, they're not going to feel that connection, and they're going to give you very surfacey chit chat, and you're just going to be like, wow, there's really no connection there. But that's because there hasn't been a development of connection. So you have to stay in other people's lives. And that way people can support you, whatever you've decided to do, and you can get encouragement and you can encourage them. And also, this life isn't just about you. It's not about me. So when I'm out here doing stuff, it's like, oh man, there's so much that I want to do, and there's so many things that I want to see. But also, what am I doing this for? I'm doing it for myself, but I'm also doing this so that I can encourage other people. It's not all about me. So when you're out there just doing whatever, consider other people. How can you serve? How can you be of service? What can you do to better another person's life or several people's life? For me, my mission is to really encourage people to stop living a life of mediocrity. One of my mentors and friend, Rachel Luna, said this on a recent podcast episode. Her podcast is called Real Talk with Rachel Luna. And she was like, nothing great ever came from mediocrity. So either be poor and be known for that, or be wealthy and be known for that and do great things. But mediocrity never did anything for anybody. So don't just be that person that's just like going through life in a cloud and not participating. It's not only hurting you, but it's hurting other people around you. And number 5, have faith. Have faith in something outside of yourself, because a lot of times we can get down on ourselves, especially when we're trying some new things and we're like, oh, that didn't work, and you feel like a failure. You have to have faith in something else. For me, I have faith in God. I'm a Christian. That sustains me. I read my Bible every day. I know God's got my back. I'd say 90% of the time, I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going on a daily basis. There's times where I wake up and I'm like, tonight I don't know where I'm going to sleep. But guess what? God does. And so I trust him. And ultimately, I know that I'm never alone, that I always have God. He's going to provide for me along the way. So I don't have to worry what's going to happen. This is the plan for my life for now, but there's many, many, many paths along your life. Having faith is being sure of what is not seen. So just because you can't see it with your eyes, it doesn't mean that it's not happening or it won't happen. It's that you know that things are going to happen for you. And another thing, along with having faith, is to not buy into the illusion of fear. Fear is not a real thing. Fear is a thought. Now, you might have physical symptoms like you might have sweaty palms, or you might shake, or your voice might crack, but the fear is only there to warn us of danger. And the majority of the time, danger is not present. Danger is present when you're in a scary or traumatic situation. But on a daily basis, when you feel fear, it's just a thought. Literally, it's nothing tangible. Like right now, I'm sitting in a parking lot. Now I could think somebody's going to come and bash this window in and kidnap me, or somebody's going to drive through and smash my car. Those things are thoughts. And just saying them out loud, I'm like, that's just like a made up imaginary thing. And imagination is great. We have imagination to believe for wonderful things, but we use that imagination for fearful things. That's not a good idea. It's a better idea to use our imagination for wonderful things. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to think about the fearful things. I'm like, I'm going to open this moonroof and just a bunch of money's just going to fall into my car. Or somebody's going to tap on my window and be like, you won Publishers Clearinghouse, even though I don't play that. But why not? Why not think of wonderful things? I might see my next husband just walking through this Walmart and be like, yo, that's my man. I don't know. All I know is that God's got it covered and I have faith. I don't need to worry about anything else. I just need to go through my daily life, take it one baby step at a time, and keep it moving. Fear is not a real thing. Don't ruin your life by staying in fear. You can do whatever you want. Everything's going to work out. Those are just 5 tips. This is not an exhaustive list, but start with those 5 because I feel like if you can get these 5 popping, you'll start to realize that there's more things that you can do to live a life fulfilled, but it's not even going to come into play unless you wake up, honor yourself, use the resources you have, connect with others, and have faith. And in the spirit of connecting with others, if you'd like to connect, you can reach me on my Instagram at travelsnacks_. And of course, if you're not already, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in Travel Snacks and you'll find me. I'm Allison Sharpe. Stay blessed.
Once again, thanks to my buddy, the always wonderful Allison Sharpe, and the kind words she had for us. You can check out Allison's podcast, Travel Snacks, on YouTube, and we will include the link to that show in the show notes. And also check out her audio podcast too, which is great also. The thing that I like about Allison is when you're listening to her podcast, it's like you're having a conversation with a good friend. And that's what she's really been to me in my short time as a podcaster. A really good friend. And we've never even met in person. Maybe one of these days, Allison, maybe one of these days when you end up by Mount Podcastia. But thanks again so much. And if you like this show, you can contact me at jimthepodcastsherpa@gmail.com if you've got any questions or comments. Or you can check the show out on a lot of your favorite podcast apps or the website Sherpalution.com. And you can also follow me on social media at Sherpalution through Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. I'm there pretty much a good chunk of the time. I don't know. I'm there. Anyway. Am I just prolonging this? I think I am. All right, I'm going to leave now. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time on The Expert Factory, where we get to make an expert out of you. Thanks a lot for listening.
The podcast is now over. Please disperse. Viva la Sherpalution!